If you are a Black woman traveling solo, there will never be a shortage of stories to bring back to your friends and family. If at this point you watched my 100 country recap where I share the best and the worst places for Black Americans to be, I wanted to be mindful that some of these countries you might think are here's the reality: 95 countries of positive experiences is still a great percentage. I do not want my country about my worst experiences to stop you from traveling and putting yourself out there. So I wanted to make this video kind of as a buffer to share some of the more hilarious and kind of neutral things that can happen if you are a Black person, and especially a Black woman who is solo. Okay, starting at number 10, we are going to Romania. Romania was not somewhere that was on my list, but when I started traveling in my 20s, I recognized that I don't know the next time I'm ever going to be this free and not have much responsibility in life. I was building my personal brand and I was just open to seeing the world. What also happens the younger you travel is you don't have an opinion on many places. The world has not hardened you yet or made you believe that everything is dark and scary. So Romania, all I knew about it was they had castles, I think, and cows. So I took a train there. And so I booked an Airbnb for a couple weeks. And so I'm just walking the streets. One of my favorite things to do when I get to a new place is just to sit in a public place and observe everyday life. But I'm walking and I'm about to get, it's like a mom and pop shop. There's this pastry dessert, and I'm standing in line to just try it out. And in front of me is a dad and his son. And yeah, so they order, and then I'm up to order. And I think they overhear that I speak English. And even, speaking English, I still memorize at least 5 words in whatever country that I am traveling to. So, hello, thank you, please, all that stuff. So he hears that I'm an English speaker, and then I can see him nudging his little boy, maybe 5 years old, towards me. And I'm just like, huh? Like, at this point, we haven't spoken any words to each other. So I thought it would be a good time for me to say hi. So I say hi in Romanian. And yeah, he's just like nudging the boy to speak. And I can't tell like what is about to come out. So I just like wait patiently. And then, drum roll, please. Out of nowhere, the boy starts singing A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And I'm like, no, he did not. He is wanting his little boy to show off his English alphabet skills. And so when I realized what's happening, I crouched down to the boy's level and I'm like, HIJKLMNOP. Boy stops because he's like, now you got this Black woman in my face. So, so the father's like, come on, you know. And so he finishes out the alphabet. And I'm just like, yeah, did it. That's amazing. Yeah, great job. And I'm, giving him affirmation and I just give him a high five. And the father, I can't put a word to it. The pride on his face. He's like, we did it. The English lessons, the English homework, the English cartoons, it paid off for this moment to sing in front of Serena Williams. But I found Romania to be such a delight. It is a place where you can either have a positive, negative, or neutral experience. I had a lot of stares, lots of curiosity, but lots of almost pride that, like, wow, we can have a conversation. And what are you doing in our country? And can I help you with any questions? And where would you like to see? And I have a cousin who has this company. And if you need any needs, like, I had a lot of that in Romania. So that gets the number 10 spot. Number 9, the next up is happened in Montenegro. So we're going to go a little bit east to the Balkans. Sorry, a little bit west to the Balkans. And one thing about Montenegro, this was back in 2015 when it happened. So most people think of former Yugoslavian countries as places that are dangerous or that there's still a lot of tension from the previous wars. But you have to understand most countries around the world are a result of war. War is just a natural part of every country's history. And former Yugoslavian countries just happen to be a little bit more recent. So in Montenegro, I don't remember seeing ever any Black people. I do remember I had a Black friend that was living in, I had a Black friend. What is that? My girl who was living in Vegas. She was like, "What are you doing in Montenegro?" I said, "Sis, I don't know either, but come on through. Like let's have some fun. Just come through." Because she was solo traveling, I was solo traveling, and I think she just wanted to like meet up. I was, of course, happy to meet up. And back then, again, I'm building my brand online, but I don't really have a schedule or an agenda. Every day I'm pitching brands, I'm writing in my blog, I'm posting on social media, but I don't have much traction. And what I'll always appreciate Montenegro for is I always had a safe space there. When I wasn't sure about when my next gig would come, I would just walk into a hostel, which hostels aren't as bad as you think. I know they feel you know, like it could be gross to share rooms with people, but many of these people are like in their 20s, they're backpackers, they're young and hungry to explore the world. And so I went into the hostel and I was like, listen, you don't have to pay me. I just need a bed every night for indefinitely. I, I think I just said a couple weeks, but they let me stay for 3 months. And so I would work reception, I would check people in, I would help with laundry, clean out the kitchen and the fridge when people left, but just like basic stuff. So shout out to Budva and the hostels there. They were just so welcoming and open to me. So I kind of set up shop in Montenegro for a bit. And yeah, I was always getting like invitations, like, oh, we have this club. Would you like to join us? And oh, come meet my friends. I very much felt like a star. So there were not many Black people. So when my friend got here, she happened to be taller and skinnier than me and a little bit darker skinned. So if you look at us together, I kid you not, we did look like Serena and Venus Williams, which leads to the number 9 story. A Russian man chasing me down, begging for an autograph for his son. And I'm telling him, I am not Serena. I'm not, please, Savina Williams. Oh, oh wow, Savina. And I'm like, I'm not her. I thank you, but I'm not her. No, no, but I love you. And he was like, just one autograph. And I'm like, I can't. And he's like, but it's for my son. And of course, Russian accent, for my son, Savina, please, Savina. And I'm like, yo, this is crazy. I'm about to sign this autograph just to make him leave me alone. But the craziest thing is, I actually have played tennis since I was 9, and I played all the way till college. So I was a collegiate athlete for basketball and tennis. So technically, if he gave me a racket, I'd do a little something, do some damage. So yeah, that was crazy because I didn't see it, but then I started to put the context together. If you think of like Djokovic and some of the biggest tennis players in the world come from Balkan countries. So Balkan countries do not take like they don't play about tennis. They love Serena. They love her down. They love tennis. So it's very much a tennis country. Seeing a Black woman at the time with curly hair like Serena had, very similar build. I was very muscular. I was kind of stocky and I had a big butt. So I could see what they saw. So yeah, I signed her autograph and I immediately went on Twitter because I was like, I don't know if this was legal, but I wasn't trying to cause any problems. So I just tweeted her. I was like, hey, Serena, ha ha ha. They love you in Montenegro. A guy chased me down. He wanted an autograph. I just briefly explained, like I gave a smiley face and your initials, but it wasn't me. It's like, that was so funny. And the Serena Williams tour kind of continued. I went into a bar and I'm just like getting a drink and some snacks. And, eventually, like people just start coming and asking for selfies. This is very common in just countries where there's not many Black people. And if I'm not doing anything, I don't mind. If I did, I would just tell them no. But, I'm taking selfies. And then eventually it gets back to the owner that Serena Williams is in his bar. He comes out and he's like, I must take a picture with you. Can you please come to our sign? Come behind the desk. Can I please have the honor of getting a photo with you? I'm not registering that he thinks I'm Serena. I just think he wants a photo like everyone else. So I just get behind the bar, I take the picture. A couple days later, it comes back to me that I'm going viral on their Facebook page, the bar's Facebook page, and I find the caption, or I find the post, and the caption reads, "It's an honor to have Serena Williams in my bar tonight." Y'all, I share it to my Facebook because at the time, my college friends, they're seeing that I'm like, gallivanting around Europe and just building my brand. And they cannot believe the stories that I'm posting. But I'm like, this is hilarious. So the Serena Williams tour continues into Bulgaria. I then take a train there. And I'm at this point, I think I remember there was a bunch of us kind of all solo traveling, like an Aussie, a German, and like a French person. And this is another reminder that when you're solo traveling, you're never really alone. So if you think that, like, oh, it feels so lonely and isolating, you can absolutely have that experience. But in my late 20s, early 30s, I was very mindful and also proactive and making conversation and inviting people into my plans and inviting myself into theirs. So we're all crossing into Bulgaria at the same time on the same train, making light conversation. And when we cross the border, there's like a bunch of border patrol people. And what you'll realize when you travel through land, you're going to go through border patrol twice. So the border patrol exiting the country and the border patrol of the country where you're entering. So that's two times. So the first time there was like no issues. And back then, because I'm traveling through Schengen countries and then coming out, I don't really know if my visa validity is legit. The Schengen countries, you can look them up, but around 28 countries have this agreement where if you have a US passport, you can roam pretty much freely for 180 days. And so I'm going in and out of Schengen zone countries, not really counting specifically the dates when I'm supposed to exit. But I would go to countries like Montenegro, Albania, Bosnia, Serbia to kind of reset my Schengen count before entering back in. But we're entering this next country. We're entering Bulgaria, and I recognize, wait, the Aussie, they got their passport back. The German got their, I'm the only one who got my passport back. I look out the window of the train and I see three border patrol officers kind of like with my passport book, and they're all kind of pointing and they look serious, like their faces. And so I'm like, dang it, I've been caught. Like, oh man, I only lasted, a year and a half. I think I was 18 months into my building my travel blog brand. And I just was already thinking of the worst case scenario, but also thinking of what is the story that I can tell. Like, always play the stupid American card. I hate to say it, but when in doubt, play that card and hopefully they'll have mercy on you. But I didn't know what to tell them. I also didn't have money to book a flight back to the US. It was literally cheaper for me to stay and keep traveling because I was surviving on less than 10 US dollars a day. As long as I had a hostel that was willing to host me, all I needed was food and train ticket money. So I was like okay and managing in between gigs as I'm building. So they eventually tell me to come outside. And that's when I lost it. I was like, dang it, locked up abroad. I didn't, I didn't plan this good enough. I suck. How could I let this happen to me? I'm like already feeling like the pity party. And granted, I'm 25. So I mean, just, I don't have many healthy practices of how to manage stress. So I'm just like, dang it, dang it. And I can like feel the lump in my throat of like, oh no, I'm gonna have to cry and look pathetic. And eventually they're like, this you. Uh, you look like Savina Williams. And their shoulders just chuckle and they're all like these big bulky Bulgarian officers. And I'm like, are you kidding? I could not be more relieved and mortified. I was like, y'all, Serena is saving my life. She has no idea. So out of like nerves, I'm like, okay, I'm in the clear, but I don't trust this. So I'm like, ah, I'm like laughing and trying to pull my best back. Like, can you just give me my stamp and let me go? Because I got a brand to build. I got the world to see. And yeah, so they eventually give it back, but I thought it was hilarious. I tell the rest of the group and they are cracking up. And oh Lord, it was a whole thing. All right, that leads to 10, 9, 8. Is this number 7? We are going to Asia, Vietnam. So at this point, I am still not, I never really got a really fancy massage. This place is kind of like a hole in the wall massage place. And many of you know Vietnam is very affordable. So I believe it was like $3 US. And I was like treating myself. So very, cute, quaint, hole in the wall type of massage place. And I go there, obviously naked, keep my underwear on, and I'm getting ready to have a massage. And I think at the time I'm not wearing a thong, but it's like one of the little skate tee. When you're in your 20s, you're wearing like the smaller underwears. But yeah, the lady starts at my back, starts at my neck. She rub me down, gets to my waist, and then she gets to my butt. And I just remember there being a pause, and I'm like, okay, I'm just, you know, you're half asleep, but you're still like anticipating the movements of the arms and hands. And then I just remember her starting to go like this, kind of. And for me, because this is like my first or second like professional massage. I had never had an experience like this, so I also don't know what to expect. So when she just starts kind of, I'm laughing the awkwardness. I want to put a disclaimer. This could, technically be sexual assault. It's a woman and she's just feeling me up. And then I'm like, okay, just be cool. I don't know what's happening. And then eventually she just And pretty soon, you would think my butt is like a bongo. She's playing me like drums. And when I tell you, in a previous video, I talked about how elderly Chinese women, their intrusive thoughts win. Give that to Vietnam as well, because Vietnamese women will also, eh, they're just, yeah. So she's playing my butt. And at some point, I'm like, this doesn't feel therapeutic. This doesn't feel like something that is taught or trained in schools. So I should say something. And then the awkwardness comes over like, well, maybe she's getting to the good part. There was no good part. 3 minutes later, I'm just like, then I start to hear giggles. And once the giggles came, I was like, ma'am, excuse me. She said, oh, sorry. And you could tell that she's amazed by the jiggle. I am, I've talked about this before, but curvier women in Southeast Asian countries, you will stand out by default because Asian women tend to be just tinier and petite. So the jiggle and the volume of my butt, I think amuses her. And I'm someone who I've had a big butt all my life, and it wasn't always something that was cool. I remember being teased in middle school where I was called like diaper booty because my butt was bigger than the rest of my body, and it was very disproportionate. I also later learned that I have hyperlordosis, so it means my spine, it tilts my anterior something, but so it not only my pelvis not only tilts out, but my butt is also big. So I could tell she was just having a field day. Okay, so that was number 7. Number 6, a very happier time. Going back to Europe, I was in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and I'm going through immigration. And immigration officers, it's hit or miss. I think the ones that are scariest are in Germany. The ones that are friendliest are in, yeah, I would say, well, I don't know who's friendliest, but it's pleasant everywhere except Germany. Germany's the only place where I feel like I have to tighten up. But in Bosnia, I could tell this woman, she's looking at me and she's studying my face. And so I'm thinking, oh crap, my hairstyle. I don't know if I had braids in my picture. Maybe she doesn't think I'm the same person because my hair is curly now. So now I'm trying to think about the the face that I made in my picture. And so I'm like, I just make like a neutral smile. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what she's analyzing, but she won't say anything. She has my passport. She just keeps looking up at me and then looking down, studying, looking at my face. And I'm like, okay, Zdravo, thank you. I don't know how to break this awkward tension. And eventually she gets to a point where she's like, I'm sorry, I don't have enough English words to describe your beauty. Wow. I could have put her in my pocket in that moment. I don't think I've ever gotten a compliment like that. And I'm also someone that I don't dress super fancy. How you see me dress in the videos is my everyday attire. Like I don't, it's not that I don't put much effort into my outfits, but I like to be comfortable. And yeah, when you travel a lot, you just kind of have your basic things that you I don't know, I just wear a lot of matching sets. So I didn't feel particularly beautiful that day because it was a travel day. You're at the airport, you're sweaty, you're a mess. And it was just such a beautiful human moment where in her limited English, she still managed to give me the most beautiful compliment I have ever received. And I could have hugged her in that moment, but they have those big glass walls. And I just had the best flight. I was like, you know how compliments from women just hit different. You know, you could be catcalled and told all these things from men, but a woman who really sees your beauty, she just warmed my heart. So that was number seven. Okay, number 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. No, that was number six. Number five, we are going to Albania. This time was crazy. I will never forget. Albania, again, is a country that I think is very underrated. People think it's very dangerous, but I had a great time. They also don't have many Black tourists. They also don't have many tourists, period. So it is a pleasant surprise when they see that you are someone that took intentional time, money, and effort to travel to their country. Super gorgeous coast and just really affordable. And they have a 1 year visa for you to live there. So consider it. Anyways, I'm walking. I think I'm on my way to a hostel. I'm about to check in, but I think I have like 2 hours. So I need to buy a little bit of time. So I'm just exploring the neighborhood. I'm walking around. I'm by myself. I'm just, yeah, just very casual, not really looking for anything, just killing time. And I see this like teenage boy, I don't know, teenage, maybe 9, 10 years old. And I could see that he sees me and his face immediately lights up. There's like this, like, yes, like this moment of like, I won. The face you make when you win a prize. He had it. He's like, oh, yes. But he doesn't say anything in that moment. So I'm like, okay. And I keep like walking, but I can tell he's like, I don't want to say he's following me, but because I'm not really going anywhere, I'm just, wandering the area. And he finally comes up to me and he's like, welcome. God. Welcome, my nigga. It's only funny because he thought it was endearing. When you think about the context of which other people experience our culture, they are interpreting it from a place of there's distance, there's a lack of context, but the rap music, the hip hop, the whatever they think about Black people, he thought it was a term of like, oh, this is what they like to be called. This is how we address them. He was young and you could tell it was very unintentional because when my face was like, I must have been like, boy, welcome my nigga, a little Albanian boy. And I said, well, hey there. And I was like, okay, so thank you. I love your country, but that word, we don't use it like that. And he's like, huh? Oh, oh. But you could tell it was like, oh, oh, oh. And yeah, I just a quick moment, like, oh no, not like that. Oh no, no, that's okay. Like you don't really call me that, but thank you for the welcome. It was so oh I've replayed it a minimum no less than 100 times after it happened. It's these stories where I remember immediately sharing them with friends. They're like, Glow, what world? Where are you? Because my friends didn't know many of these countries existed. They would have to be like, okay, where on the map? Where is it near? Like what? So I'm like, okay, there's Italy and then there's the Adriatic Sea and then that's Albania. So yeah, that is a highlight. Okay, memory number four, traveling as a solo Black woman. I was in Latvia and I was going to a nightclub. Again, I'm, you know, I'm in my 20s. I'm not a clubber anymore, but when you are first getting out there, I do recommend checking out the club scene in certain countries, especially if you don't really have an agenda. There are some countries where it's just nice to experience what the people do. So I'm going out to the club. I'm trying to be like, okay, what y'all do out here in Latvia? And I find this place, and it doesn't I don't know if it's new, but it doesn't really have a distinct energy. It's just people standing around, there's people getting drinks. And it was kind of like a techno, like boom, chka, boom, chka, boom, chka, boom, chka, boom, chka, just that. I wouldn't even call it house music, just techno. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not picky. There's not many options in this city. I think was I in Riga? I don't know. I don't remember what city I was at. So I'm just, chilling and I get my drink and I'm kind of like, you know how you walk the room, kind of find where you want to sit and where you want to hang. And I'm still looking for a seat, still looking for an area. And all of a sudden, someone like not brings me, but they tap my shoulder and they say, oh, over here, like we actually have space for you. And I'm thinking they're just going to put me in like a random booth. Oh, because I still can't believe this was my life. It still is my life. But okay, so this random booth that they bring me to is almost like, I don't want to call it like a celebrity seat, but I see that there's a live DJ in the corner, and then this seat is like elevated. So it kind of looks down on the rest of the room. And it's like I guess it's a VIP area, but basically it's just me. And you get your own private bottle service, you get private attendees, people that can serve you. And it's kind of like, yeah, it's just a booth for VIP guests. And again, there was enough room for me to sit on the floor or on the main floor, like, or to stand somewhere. I didn't like, if you're thinking they put me there because there was no room on the main floor, that wasn't it. So I go there. I'm not going to turn it down because clearly this is the best seat in the house. So I'm like, okay. And so now I'm like, okay, I could feel this white people techno-ish. Okay. And just and then I would say no less than 5 minutes later, I feel a distinct shift. And all of a sudden, the most random hip hop songs start playing. And when I talk about random, the songs that aren't really hits, but you know about them. It's like, it's never the singles from the album. It's like the secondary, the third or fourth single that drops from an album. But now he's playing some like Nelly, but not like Nelly's hits, like Nelly's random tracks. So I then was like, okay, at first, when I feel the shift to hip hop, I of course look at the DJ and he looks at me almost expectantly, like, does she approve? And so once I realize, oh, he needs approval, I'm like, hey, and I pretend I'm like, it's fine. And so I feel like, let me just pretend this is what I'm here for. What I did not realize is I now signed up to be his approval all night. So every time he changed the track, I could just feel that he was looking to me to approve that this song hits. And so I looked at him and I would already see him looking at me. And I'm like, how you know? This my jam. A random E40 track. I'm like, all right. So for the next hour, I'm literally not only the DJ approval person, but now I'm the dancer for because now people are looking at me on the main floor and I'm having to, just I must have broke out the clown walk, the sea walk, the crip walk, the Dougie. I'm breaking out all the cliche black dances. I was exhausted. I didn't even get paid. I was working all night, but the drinks were cheap. I think they brought me out like one free drink, but I could tell they were so excited that a black person was in their club. They treated me so well. So, Latvia, shout out to you. I had an amazing time. Next up, the top three number three spot of the top hilarious memories of traveling while Black. I was in Chiang Mai, Thailand. I was with a friend and we were grabbing a airport taxi. And there's an app called Grab. It is the Uber of Southeast Asia. And we ordered, I think, a premium or SUV vehicle just because I like space on my way to the airport. Plus, we have luggage. And I remember the taxi driver, like he immediately came out and he said, "What country are you from?" And it was a little bit jarring for me because Thailand is such a friendly, calm place that being asked where I'm from can sometimes put me in a little bit of a defense because I'm like, why are you asking? Like, is there something that's gonna happen based on my answer? So I had a little bit of insecurity of like, oh dang it, is he gonna charge us more? Like, what's gonna happen? What's the point of this question? So I was like, USA, the States, USA. He's like, okay, and then grabbed our bags. And it was like so random, but again, I'm like, it is what it is. We get in the car. Tell me why the driver puts on top USA bluegrass country playlist. He asked our country so he can find music for us to listen to. And he assumed that, oh, they're from America. Here's American music. And you could tell he just Googled or YouTube searched something because it was such a dated backdrop. And it was like top 40 bluegrass country American music. Told my friend, I was like, this is why he asked where we were from. So it's like, it's just so pure because you could tell he just wanted us to have a beautiful experience. And this actually reminds me of another one. It didn't make the list, but I was in Turkey and I remember I got inside of an Uber and the music was like, you know, Turkish music. I actually appreciate listening to local music. But as soon as I got in, turned on the most trap gangster rap music. And I'm like, sir, and then, in the rear view mirror where your eyes lock, he saw me, I saw him. And so I was like, yup, uh-huh. The amount of times I feel obligated to confirm the stereotypes they have about us, especially when it's not harmful. I'm like, all right, this is where we going. All right. The number two most hilarious thing that happened to me as a solo traveling Black woman. I was in the motherland, specifically Nigeria, where both of my parents are from. And I went there by myself for the first time. Well, my first time there, I went by myself, which I think people thought I was crazy. My family thought I was crazy, but again, I'm out here. I might as well. I'm exploring the continent. Like, let me develop my own relationship with Nigeria because for many people who are first generation American. You were born and raised in the US, but your culture and ethnic heritage and identity is from another country. You will always wake up, you will always live life kind of straddling both countries and both sides. So I wanted to develop my own relationship with Nigeria, not based on what I was told or what I was raised in, but what I can experience myself. So I'm there and I'm meeting extended family for the first time, like second cousins, third cousins, uncles, aunts. I haven't seen or met them ever. We just have photo albums. And I remember one of them saw me from a distance, like ran up. Oh, I don't know if I'm laughing because it's kind of traumatic, but he was like, oh my God, this one, oh God, she will marry rich. This one will marry rich. Yes. There was a think like this one looks like she will marry rich, or this one has the looks of someone who can attract a rich man. I was already struggling with with what traditions I will and won't adapt in terms of Nigerian culture. Now, if you are familiar with the bride price, it's not just Nigeria, but many African countries, even Asian countries, can have this. But a bride price is basically what a man is willing to pay to get the hand in marriage of the woman that he's attracted to. And sometimes this can set the woman's family up for life. So he can say, in order for you to allow me to marry your daughter, I will pay for your bills for the rest of your life. I will retire you. I will offer you this land. I will give you this much cattle. But oh my God, praise God. This one will marry rich. Yeah, God. And I'm like, who are you? Lord, I was shook, but I also thought it was hilarious. And when I told my family, they're like, oh yes, it's compliments. You said compliments. I'm like, we need to heal. And last but not least, my number one experience traveling, number one favorite funny experience traveling. This was more about me being poor and less about me being Black. But this was my very first fancy massage. I had never gotten a massage experience before, but this one was a fancy one. And this is when I first was getting booked as a travel blogger, meaning brands were reaching out to me saying, we found your blog, we found your website, we found your social media. We want to pay for your ticket. We want to fly you to our country. We want to pay for your hotel. We want to pay for your food. We want to pay for all the experiences that you can have in our country in exchange for you doing us the honor of writing about our country and promoting us to your followers and to the world. This was my life for 7 years, full-time income, multiple six-figure income. Okay. It actually became an incredible life. So my very first gig was in Thailand. And I remember the massage place they booked was just fancier than anything I'd ever seen. And I was used to being in a hostel. And so I feel like I was just learning how to belong in a fancy place. And yeah, so they gave me slippers, a robe. There was a shower in the massage room. Like it was just, you had a spa, there was a jacuzzi bath. But then they gave me this little, it was like a wrap, it was wrapped in like a little plastic thing and then inside of a sleeve. And they said, take off everything except for this, like just have this. And so they leave and I unravel it. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is exposing, but if this is what they want me to wear, let me just do what they said. So they leave and I take off everything except for this little thing that they told me to put on. The problem is the thing that they told me to put on looks like a hairnet and I had it on my head, meaning I was buck naked everywhere else because they told me to take off everything else. So I'm underneath the blanket with what I learned was the underwear. It was like netted underwear and it was on my head. So immediately the lady comes back in, or when she comes back in, she immediately starts laughing. And I'm like, hello, like, is everything okay? And she said, oh, keeps laughing, like, oh no, but she can't say what's wrong. And so I'm like, should I not be naked? I mean, she can't see me yet. I'm laying face down, but all she's seeing is the underwear on my head. And she said, no, this underwear, this underwear. And I was like, we bust out laughing. She leaves. I take the hairnet and I put it on my lady area. Uh, I later also realized that here's the thing, the way I was wearing the hairnet, I was also kind of wearing it over my face. So the two holes where you put your legs through, I thought that's where your eyes, I thought that's for your eyes. And so I wore the hairnet kind of like a face mask. And so I had the eyes for your legs over my eyeballs. And now that I think about it, I'm like, I looked so ridiculous. And I remember sharing this story on Facebook, and it was like one of my more viral posts. And I just was like, I love and hate my life. And going to after the massage, like it was just such a funny moment. I felt like all the ladies were looking at me because they were told how dumb I was. But yeah, that gets the number one spot. All right, y'all. If you can relate to any of these stories, If you have stories of your own where it was just a funny moment, a funny cultural exchange, please drop it in the comments. Like, let's make this a library of stories that remind us that this world is a fun, beautiful, and very pure place. And again, the memories that you can make, they could be dependent on the weather, the season of life, who you meet. It's really no telling some of the stories that you're going to walk away with from travel, and that's what makes me love it so much. It is so unpredictable, but it's also so beautiful. All right. Thank you so much for watching. If you don't know, my name is Glow and I make videos every single day. And it is a pleasure, joy, privilege, and honor to have you here. If you are new, please like and subscribe because we've got so many more stories like this and videos to come. If you are someone who is currently trying to escape the US, I live in Bangkok, Thailand, after 100 countries. It is the city that I decided to make my home. So if you are on that journey as well, I would love to invite you to the Passport to Peace workshop. You will literally walk through the first 3 steps to escaping the US and recognizing that it is not as expensive as you think. We go through the top 15 most affordable places for you to be and how to get started. And this is the other video that I was mentioning about my worst experiences. It's kind of going viral, so I'll go ahead and link it so that you can check it out. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all tomorrow.